You open your Windows 11 computer. Before you can start working, a Copilot icon stares at you from the taskbar. You open File Explorer to find a document. A new menu appears asking if you want AI help. You right-click a file. Another Copilot prompt? You try to use the settings search. The AI-powered search bar fails to find what you literally typed. This isn't a hypothetical nightmare. It's the daily reality for millions of Windows users in January 2026. The backlash has reached a breaking point. A new term is dominating tech forums and social media: microslop. It's a portmanteau of Microsoft and slop, which is internet slang for low-quality AI-generated garbage. And the name is spreading faster than Microsoft can contain it. Here's what's actually happening, why users are genuinely furious, and what this means if you use Windows or are thinking about upgrading. Let's start with how we got here. October 2025, Microsoft officially ends support for Windows 10. The company announces that anyone who wants continued security updates must upgrade to Windows 11 or pay $30 per year for extended support. The problem? Windows 11 comes bundled with AI features that many users never asked for and actively don't want. Copilot is embedded everywhere. The system search is AI-powered. File Explorer has AI menus. Even basic apps like Photos and Notepad now include AI tools that slow them down and clutter the interface. But Microsoft doesn't give users a choice. There's no master switch to turn off all AI features. You either accept the AI integrations or stick with an operating system that will no longer receive security patches. That ultimatum triggered something Microsoft didn't anticipate. That was organized resistance. The spark that ignited the firestorm came from Microsoft's own CEO. December 29, 2025, Satya Nadella publishes a blog post about AI's future. In it, he urges the world to move beyond calling AI outputs slop and instead focus on building systems with engineering sophistication. The internet responded immediately. Within 48 hours, microslop was trending across X, Reddit, Facebook, and tech forums. Users began creating parody marketing images. Browser extensions appeared that automatically renamed every instance of Microsoft to microslop on websites. People organized campaigns encouraging others to search for the term multiple times daily to manipulate autocomplete algorithms. This is textbook Streisand effect. By asking people not to use a term, Nadella guaranteed it would spread exponentially. Microsoft's attempt to control the narrative backfired spectacularly. But the anger isn't just about branding, but also about fundamental trust. Here's what users are actually experiencing with Windows 11's AI push. First, performance degradation. The new Copilot app, launched in December 2024, consumes between 500 and 600 megabytes of RAM on average, with peaks reaching 1 gigabyte. That's because it runs a WebView instance of Microsoft Edge just to display the AI interface. For users on older machines with 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM, this is a significant drain on system resources. Background AI processes constantly reserve memory just in case the user asks a question. This means your computer is slower even when you're not using AI features. Tasks that ran smoothly on Windows 10 now lag on Windows 11, despite supposedly better hardware requirements. One user writes, "I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, and Windows 11 still feels slower than Windows 10 did with 16 gigabytes. The AI processes are eating resources for features I will never use." Second, broken features. Remember that viral video from programmer Ryan Fleury? He demonstrated Windows 11's AI-powered settings search. The search bar itself suggests typing, "My mouse pointer is too small." He types exactly that. Phrase. 0 results appear. He waits 10 seconds, nothing. Then he searches for test and immediately gets 3 results. His reaction? This is not a real company. The clip has millions of views because it perfectly captures user frustration. Microsoft is forcing AI into basic functions that worked perfectly before, and the AI versions don't work as well as the tools they replaced. Generative erase in Photos frequently produces artifacts and smudges instead of clean edits. Automatic captioning in Clipchamp fails to accurately transcribe speech. AI rewrites in Notepad create robotic text that requires more editing time than writing from scratch. These aren't edge cases. They're common experiences reported across user forums. Third, forced integration everywhere. Copilot isn't a standalone app you can ignore. It's woven into the operating system at every level. Notepad, the classic lightweight text editor, now has AI rewriting tools, it loads more slowly and constantly nags users to sign in with a Microsoft account. Edge browser includes shopping assistants and sidebar chatbots that clutter the interface and cannot be fully disabled. File Explorer, the tool you use to navigate your files, now has Ask Copilot options in right-click menus and is testing a permanent Copilot sidebar. Outlook's AI drafts emails that miss conversational context, requiring users to spend more time editing AI-generated drafts than writing messages themselves. The Start menu prioritizes web-generated AI answers over searching your local files. Users report that finding documents on their own computers has become harder because the search function now tries to be smart instead of literal. This ubiquity creates constant friction where you're not using your computer but fighting your computer to do basic tasks. Now let's talk about the hardware trap. Windows 11's full AI capabilities require what Microsoft calls a Copilot Plus PC. These machines need at a minimum 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, 256 gigabytes of SSD storage, and most importantly, a neural processing unit capable of 40 or more TOPS, trillion operations per second. The NPU requirement is critical. These are specialized AI chips that cost significantly more than standard processors. Most computers sold before 2024 don't have them. This creates two classes of Windows 11 users. Those with older hardware get a degraded experience. AI features run slowly or don't work at all, but the AI menus and prompts are still there, cluttering the interface and consuming resources despite being non-functional. The price premium for Copilot Plus PCs is substantial. Comparable laptops with and without NPUs show price differences of $300 to $800. That's not incremental cost. That's a significant barrier for consumers, small businesses, and educational institutions operating on tight budgets. Microsoft frames this as preparing for the next generation of computing, but users see it differently. They see a company using its Windows monopoly to force hardware upgrades that primarily benefit Microsoft's AI ambitions rather than solving actual user problems. The environmental impact compounds the economic pressure. Perfectly functional computers that run Windows 10 smoothly become obsolete, not because they can't handle modern tasks, but because they can't run Microsoft's AI features. This accelerates e-waste production at a time when electronics disposal is already a global environmental crisis. Dell's COO Jeffrey Clark reported in November 2025 that roughly 500 million devices capable of running Windows 11 haven't upgraded. Part of that is the TPM's 2.0 requirement, but a growing part is users deliberately avoiding the AI integrations. One analyst estimated that ending Windows 10 support could turn 240 million PCs into e-waste. That's a pile of discarded computers that, if stacked as folded laptops, would reach 600 kilometers taller than the moon. Then there's the lawsuit. August 2025. California resident Lawrence Klein files suit against Microsoft in the San Diego Superior Court. His complaint makes a straightforward argument. Microsoft is ending Windows 10 support not because the technology is outdated, but to force users into buying AI-powered hardware. Klein points out that previous Windows transitions gave users 7 to 8 years before ending support. Windows 10 is being discontinued just 4 years after Windows 11 launched, despite over 50% of Windows users still running Windows 10. The lawsuit argues this constitutes forced obsolescence and an attempt to monopolize the generative AI market. Here's Klein's key point. Windows 11 comes with Copilot integrated by default. Users don't need to seek out or install the AI assistant, it's already there. Microsoft can actively promote Copilot within Windows 11 settings, making it the central AI experience. Competing AI companies like Google, OpenAI, and Anthropic rely on web-based or app-based distribution. They must convince users to opt in. Microsoft's approach gives it a massive competitive advantage by making Copilot the default for hundreds of millions of users. Klein isn't seeking monetary damages. He wants a court order requiring Microsoft to continue free Windows 10 support until the operating system's market share falls below 10%. He also wants Microsoft to clearly disclose in advertising the approximate life cycle of Windows on each device and the security consequences of support termination. The lawsuit faces significant legal hurdles. Microsoft's terms of service, which users accept when installing Windows, likely protect the company from these claims. But the suit has attracted significant public attention and puts regulatory pressure on Microsoft's AI strategy. Speaking of regulatory pressure, it's coming from multiple directions. The UK's Information Commissioner's Office has contacted Microsoft demanding information about Recall's privacy safeguards. The EU is examining whether Microsoft's approach violates GDPR's proportionality requirements. Germany is drafting regulations requiring explainability for any AI system that can override user input. These aren't abstract concerns, they're reactions to specific problems. Let's talk about Recall. Recall is Windows 11's most controversial AI feature. It takes a screenshot of your active window every few seconds, recording everything you do in Windows for up to 3 months by default. An AI model analyzes these screenshots, extracts data, and creates a searchable index. Microsoft positions this as a photographic memory feature. You can search using natural language like "find that email about the budget," and Recall will show you the relevant screenshot from 2 weeks ago. The privacy implications are staggering. Early versions of Recall stored screenshots in an unencrypted SQLite database. Security researcher Alexander Hagana developed a tool called Total Recall that could extract and display all Recall data, exposing everything a user had done on their computer. Cybersecurity expert Kevin Beaumont described Recall as a keylogger baked into Windows. He pointed out that malware designed to steal browser passwords stored locally could easily extend to stealing Recall databases. A single breach would expose months of comprehensive activity data. The backlash was immediate and severe. Microsoft delayed Recall's launch 3 times, first from June 2024 to October, then to December, then to a limited Windows Insider preview. Microsoft implemented encryption and made Recall opt-in instead of on by default. The company added biometric authentication requirements through Windows Hello and gave users control over which apps and websites Recall can monitor. But problems persist. Security analyst Avram Pilch conducted testing in August 2025. He found that Recall's filter-sensitive information feature still fails to protect sensitive data reliably. The AI filter depends on textual cues like the word password appearing near credentials. If your password field doesn't contain that exact keyword, Recall captures it. Pilch demonstrated that screenshots captured by Recall include credit card numbers, bank account balances, social security numbers, and login credentials. He also showed that these screenshots can be accessed remotely using just a Windows Hello PIN, bypassing more secure authentication layers. The fundamental problem is that Recall isn't just scanning text, it's creating a comprehensive visual record of everything you do. That includes private messages in Signal or WhatsApp, confidential work documents, medical records are viewed in patient portals, banking transactions, tax returns, legal documents, any password you type or view. Even if you disable Recall, the feature remains installed on Copilot Plus PCs. It cannot be completely uninstalled. This means it exists as a deactivated keylogger-like feature that could be reactivated by malware or misconfiguration. For businesses, the risks are even worse. If any third party you communicate with keeps Recall enabled, your confidential correspondence may end up exposed if their device is compromised. An external consultant with Recall enabled discussing sensitive financial projections could inadvertently create a security vulnerability for your entire organization. This isn't theoretical. Security researchers have demonstrated that Recall's UI process presents opportunities for advanced info stealer malware to extract textual content from memory. The database is encrypted at rest, but that's only partial protection. Any attacker with access to the PC, whether physical or via malware, can potentially access months of activity data. Multiple privacy advocacy groups have called Recall a privacy nightmare. The Electronic Frontier Foundation argues it creates a massive attack surface with minimal benefit. IT security professionals recommend disabling Recall entirely on enterprise devices. Microsoft's response has been to emphasize that Recall is opt-in and that data never leaves the user's device. But that misses the point. Local storage doesn't mean secure storage when malware can access it. Now here's what makes all of this particularly frustrating for users: the disconnect between Microsoft's messaging and reality. Microsoft executives describe Windows 11 as an agentic OS and a canvas for AI. They talk about cognitive amplifiers and preparing users for the next generation of computing. Satya Nadella speaks about AI achieving societal permission and moving towards systems that have real-world impact. Meanwhile, users are experiencing experiencing a settings search that can't find settings, a Photos app that produces artifacts instead of clean edits, a notepad that loads slowly because it's connecting to cloud AI, a file explorer cluttered with AI menus nobody uses, a system that consumes more RAM for features that don't work reliably. The gap between executive vision and product reality has never been wider. Leadership views AI as the next industrial revolution. Users view it as a clipboard manager that doesn't work. This extends to Microsoft's other products too. Microsoft's 365 Copilot, the AI assistant for Office apps, has faced similar criticism. Enterprise clients voice concerns about data privacy, inconsistent reliability, and the need to extensively fact-check AI-generated outputs. A Tech Radar analysis in 2025 labeled Copilot a mistake, criticizing its execution and confinement within the Windows ecosystem. Internal reports suggest Satya Nadella himself described some Copilot integrations as almost unusable during executive meetings. These aren't just user complaints, they're warnings from Microsoft's own CEO that the company is shipping products before they're ready. So what's driving this rush to force AI everywhere? The answer is economics and competition. Microsoft has invested hundreds of billions of dollars into AI infrastructure and its partnership with OpenAI. Azure provides the backbone for ChatGPT. Microsoft needs to justify those investments to shareholders by demonstrating AI adoption and revenue growth. At the same time, Microsoft has executed massive layoffs over the past 3 years. The company has cut thousands of senior engineers, the exact people responsible for maintaining Windows quality and reliability. Users know the cruel irony. Microsoft fires humans who made software reliable to fund AI that makes it unstable. The competitive pressure is real. Google's Gemini has significantly higher user engagement than Copilot. OpenAI's ChatGPT dominates AI assistant usage. Microsoft's strategy is to leverage its Windows monopoly to gain an edge in AI by making Copilot the default assistant for hundreds of millions of users. This isn't about making Windows better. It's about using Windows as a distribution channel for AI products, and users are rejecting it. The resistance takes multiple forms. Technical users are creating debloating scripts that strip AI features from Windows 11. These tools, available on GitHub, have seen massive download spikes. They physically remove the app packages responsible for Copilot integration in Photos, Notepad, File Explorer, and other system tools. Power users are using Group Policy Editor to completely disable Windows Copilot, preventing the process from running in the background and freeing up the RAM it reserves. Some users are migrating to Linux entirely. Distributions like Linux Mint, Ubuntu, and Fedora have reported significant upticks in downloads from Windows users. Tech forums are filled with guides for switching to Linux while maintaining compatibility with Windows software. Dell, one of Microsoft's major hardware partners, has notably shifted strategy. During Dell's earnings call in November 2025, COO Jeffrey Clark acknowledged that consumers don't care about AI PCs. Dell announced plans to refocus on gaming hardware, build quality, battery life, and traditional performance factors instead of AI capabilities. This is significant. A major PC manufacturer is publicly admitting that the AI PC strategy isn't working. Browser extensions that rename Microsoft to Microslop in web pages have thousands of installs. Parody marketing materials for Microslop circulate widely on Reddit. The organized campaign to manipulate search engine autocomplete continues, with users searching Microslop multiple times daily to ensure the term appears in suggestions. This isn't just mockery. It's an attempt to damage Microsoft's brand reputation in a way that forces the company to respond. So where does this actually lead? Short term, Microsoft is unlikely to change course dramatically. The company has committed too much capital and strategic direction to the AI push. Copilot will continue spreading into more Windows features. The hardware requirements will likely become more demanding as AI models grow, but the backlash is having effects. Microsoft made recall opt-in instead of on by default. That's a direct response to user fury. The company also created policies allowing enterprises to block recall installation entirely on managed devices. Windows 11's latest preview builds include settings to automatically uninstall Copilot on systems where it hasn't been launched in 28 days. This suggests Microsoft is tracking usage data and recognizing that many users never touch the feature. Dell's strategic shift away from AI PC marketing indicates that hardware manufacturers are listening to consumer preferences over Microsoft's messaging. The lawsuit, even if it fails legally, creates public discourse about forced obsolescence and monopoly abuse. That discourse attracts regulatory attention in the EU, UK, and elsewhere. Long-term, three things could force Microsoft to change direction. First, if Windows 11 adoption continues to stall. As of January 2026, Windows 10 still holds roughly 43 to 45% of the desktop market share despite support ending. If that number doesn't drop significantly by mid-2026, Microsoft faces a crisis. You can't force an upgrade if millions of users simply refuse. Second, if enterprise adoption of Copilot remains weak, business customers are more sensitive to cost, security, and productivity. If they conclude that Copilot integration reduces productivity instead of enhancing it, Microsoft loses a crucial revenue stream and validation for its AI strategy. Third, if a high-profile recall security breach occurs. One major incident where recall data gets stolen and causes serious harm to users or a company would trigger immediate regulatory crackdowns and potentially lawsuits. That dwarfs Klein's complaint. Microsoft's AI strategy is a bet that users will eventually accept and embrace these features once they're good enough. But that assumes the features will become good enough before users give up on Windows entirely. The Microslop backlash reveals that Microsoft has misunderstood its own user base. People don't want AI in everything. They want tools that work reliably, respect their privacy, and don't consume unnecessary resources. What should you actually do if you're affected by this? If you're still on Windows 10, you have options. You can pay $30 for 1 year of extended security updates through Microsoft's ESU program. That requires a Microsoft account and cloud data syncing, which some users reject on privacy grounds. You can upgrade to Windows 11 and use debloating scripts and group policy settings to disable AI features. This requires technical knowledge but is documented extensively online. You can switch to Linux. This is more viable than ever, especially for users who primarily browse the web, use Office software, and don't need Windows-specific professional applications. Chrome OS is another alternative that Google has been promoting to Windows 10 users. If you're already on Windows 11, learn how to disable features you don't want. Turn off Copilot. Remove it from your taskbar. Use group policy or third-party tools to strip AI integrations from system apps. Disable recall if you have a Copilot Plus PC. If you're thinking about buying a new computer, understand what you're paying for. Copilot Plus PC branding means you're paying hundreds of dollars extra for NPU hardware. If you don't want or need AI features, don't subsidize their development by buying premium hardware. For businesses, conduct security audits before deploying Windows 11 widely. Use group policy to block recall installation. Test Copilot integration in isolated environments before allowing it on production systems. Consider whether Windows 11's AI features present compliance risks for your industry. The most important thing is to be deliberate. Don't upgrade just because Microsoft is pressuring you. Evaluate whether Windows 11 actually improves your workflow or whether it introduces problems you don't need. Here's what to watch for that indicates Microsoft is listening or doubling down. First, Windows 11 26H2, the next major feature update. If it includes master switches to disable all AI features system-wide, that signals Microsoft is responding to feedback. If it embeds AI even deeper into core functions, that signals Microsoft is ignoring user pushback. Second, Copilot usage metrics. If Microsoft starts publishing actual adoption numbers instead of vague enthusiasm, that indicates confidence in the product. If they remain silent about usage, that suggests the numbers are bad. Third, hardware market data. If Copilot Plus PC sales remain weak through the first half of 2026, manufacturers will push back harder against Microsoft's AI-centric strategy. Watch for more companies following Dell's lead in de-emphasizing AI features. Fourth, regulatory decisions in Europe. The EU has more aggressive tech regulation than the US. If European regulators restrict or ban features like recall, that will cascade into changes for global Windows releases. Fifth, enterprise security incidents. Any breach involving recall or Copilot data will be extensively reported. The severity of Microsoft's response and any policy changes that follow will indicate how seriously they take security versus adoption metrics. Microsoft is at a crossroads. The company can continue forcing AI integration and hope users eventually accept it, or they can acknowledge that users user choice and system reliability matter more than AI feature counts. The Microsoft backlash is users voting with their attention, their wallets, and their time. They're saying no to forced AI integrations. They're saying no to degraded performance. They're saying no to privacy risks that benefit Microsoft more than users. The deeper issue is that Microsoft has conflated product strategy with corporate vision. AI integration might make sense for Microsoft's business model and competitive positioning, but that doesn't automatically mean it makes sense for end users who just need reliable tools to get work done. The company built its dominance by creating software that solved problems users actually had. Windows succeeded because it made computing accessible. Office succeeded because it made document creation efficient. Azure succeeded because it made cloud infrastructure manageable. Copilot and forced AI integration don't follow that pattern. They solve problems Microsoft has, not problems users have. Microsoft needs AI adoption to justify its investments. Microsoft needs hardware upgrades to keep revenue growing. Microsoft needs to compete with Google and OpenAI for the AI market share. But users don't need AI in their settings search. They don't need their Photos app to hallucinate edits. They don't need Notepad to rewrite their text. They need these tools to work quickly, reliably, and predictably. The backlash will continue until Microsoft aligns its AI strategy with actual user needs rather than corporate ambitions. That means making AI features genuinely useful before forcing them into products. That means respecting user choice about whether to adopt AI tools. That means prioritizing system performance and privacy over feature counts. Whether Microsoft listens will determine if Windows remains the dominant desktop operating system or whether the company's AI obsession creates an opening for competitors. The revolt isn't about being anti-technology. It's about demanding that technology serve user needs instead of forcing users to serve technology companies' ambitions. Do you think Microsoft will actually change course, or will the AI integration continue regardless of what users want? Drop your honest take in the comments.